Perfect.
Right, okay, thanks. Right, so good morning, everyone. So it's kind of like a genuine pleasure to be here with you all today. Thank you so much, first of all, Gigi, and also the Orbis Hong Kong team for your very kind invitation and also for bringing us together. Well, although I noticed that the Chinese New Year has already passed, so Gigi, yeah, thank you. So, but would still like to wishing you all and also your family are very healthy and also wonderful year of the horse. Right. So just in case for those I haven't met before, let me introduce a little bit about myself. I am Teresa Ng, the Assistant Dean of the Faculty of Education of um, and Human Development at the EDU Hong Kong. And I've been teaching for 20 years, and my academic home is kind of like the field of creative studies, particularly in creative teaching strategies, creativity enhancement, and also creativity evaluation. Well, so I would say this is kind of like a fancy way for me to introduce myself, saying that my job and also my duty is to study, to practice, and also to teach my student, my teacher, the art of being creative. Well, over 2 decades, I've been watching technology transform from basically overhead projectors to AI-driven platforms. So through it all, I would say that one question that's remained constantly being asked by my student and also a lot of principals, a lot of parents. Yeah. How can we, as a teacher, transform the boring lessons into fun ones is, I think, a right question to ask. But I really want to say that fun is, to me, just the surface. Well, what lies underneath is the engagement. So the secret to that engagement lies in we engineer, okay, our lessons by using different tools that inherently human. So first of all, basically, let us think about why lessons becoming boring at the first place. Yeah. So to me, I think boredom usually happens when there is a gap between the energy, the motivation about the student, and also the demand of the task. So when the student are being passive, yeah, and they are receiving only information, so their brain is actually being cut off, being turned off completely. But here's the good news, yeah, we can actually, as a teacher, we can actually redesign, okay, and also re-engineer, as the word says, that particular dynamic. And I know perhaps some of you are thinking about, oh, Teresa, the word re-engineering might sound a little bit technical, but for me, I think as a teacher, it simply means that we can redesign the whole learning experiences from the student perspective. Well, I would say that my past 20 years of teaching have actually taught me that students do not resist hard work, but they do resist meaningless work. So if I am a teacher who can design a lesson where the effort means a purpose to the student, where the challenge is exciting to the student, so in fact, I can actually turn a boring topic into something my student or my class what they love, and then they can, be an active learner. So lucky us, I would say that those tools that I've just mentioned, they are not expensive technologies. They are not complicated theories, but they are, I would say, ancient, as said over here. They are powerful and they are deeply human. So I would say that the three human tools that I always incorporating into my class is, first of all, gamification, drama, and also context. So these are the three human tools that I usually get it embedded into my own class and then turn it into a creativeness. Right. So let's start with gamification. So perhaps I would show you how I have uh, made use of each one in my own classroom as an example. Right. So for gamification, now I'm not talking about just playing games within the classroom. I'm talking about boring the mechanism or mechanics, whatever you call about games. Yeah. So basically involve points, levels, challenges, instant feedback. Yeah, basically weaving them into a fabric of lesson. So I have been teaching a master course called Teaching for Creativity and Critical Thinking. Next slide, please. Yeah. Right. So the topic of divergent thinking tools, as some of you might heard about that, could actually like quite technical, as you can imagine. It involves basically a lot of steps, a lot of methodology, a lot of frameworks as well. So, okay. So in this case, in the past, I noticed that my students' eyes are glazing over when we reach to that particular section. So what I've done is that I re-engineered the whole curriculum. I redesigned the whole, package of the courses within the semester. So instead of just lecturing them the tools, I basically turn the classroom into a creative challenge arena. So what I've done is that I split the students into different groups, different teams. I presented them with the real world problems, and the student have to race against the clock and to generate the most innovative solutions, most creative solutions by using different types of divergent thinking tools that they have learned from me and also from the class. So points, of course, were rewarded, awarded, whatever you call, not just for quantity, but also for the feasibility about the ideas that they have generated, and also the originality, the uniqueness about the ideas that they have generated as well. So what happened was that I would say magical. What I saw is that my student who had been very passive gradually become animated, very involved within the classroom. And they are arguing about, which ideas was most creative. They are building on each other's inspiration, suggestion, and they are also using different types of tools, not only just memorizing them. So the game, in this case, gives them a reason to care about what they learn, okay? So gamification to me, I think, transform the content from something to be used, okay, into something to be like used to achieve a particular goal. So this is basically what I've done by using the first tool, gamification. So the next tool, I would say, which is really powerful, which is about drama. So because I'm also teaching drama at the EDU. So the next tool is, as I said, is drama. So here I do not mean putting on a full like Shakespeare play. So here I do mean that embodied learning. So what do you mean by embodied learning? Is that getting your student both physically and mentally step into the scenario. So I would say that one of my favorite courses here I teach in Hong Kong EDU is the service learning course called Implementation of Whole Person Development Through Drama. So next slide, please. So throughout the course, students do not only just learn about drama, but they do drama. Okay, so next slide, please. Gigi. Right, yeah. So this is a course that I've been teaching for like more than 20 years. Okay, so as I said, they're not only learn about drama, they do about drama. So what they do is that they need to do some kind of like services, to the community, because it's kind of like a service learning course. And so in this case, they need to serve a local secondary school. Okay. So for their major assessment, what student needs to do is that first of all, they need to get their heads together with a group of 6 to 8 to develop a play. Okay, so this is not a normal play. This is a theater in education play. So I'm not sure whether you've heard about the name. Okay, TIE play, which lasts about 10 to 15 minutes. So this is basically the most creative and innovative part. So during the performance, during the class, so both of the performers and also the audience, they are encouraged to stop the play and make comments. Okay, so as you can imagine, right in the middle of the play, the action process, and everyone stop and discuss, what is happening and what kind of choices that the main characters can make, and also what kind of things could happen in the next stage. Okay, so then the play resumes, and of course, as you can imagine, something will, like changing the direction based upon the discussion among the audience. So this is the drama. okay, being used as a thinking tool here as an example. So students are not here, not just memorizing the lines. Instead, they are embodying perspectives. They are making split-second decisions. They are also responding to live feedback. So they are, no longer, arguing a position that, within their own, but they are arguing a position that isn't their own. So they need to feel the weight of that perspective. And by the end, they are not just understanding the concept of multiple perspectives intellectually, but they have actually lived it. Okay. Right. So another tool that I also introduced in this particular course is something called mind journal. In Chinese, we call 心靈圖誌. Okay. It's kind of like a personal diary where the student recall what they see, what they think, yeah, what they experience in their daily life through like drawings, written text, and also graphs. Yeah. So to me, it's kind of like a form of inner drama, a dialogue within yourself that really helps the student to explore and to reflect on creative encounters both within and also outside the classroom. So to me, this kind of learning is somewhat no AI, no worksheet, no video, no generative, AI, Gemini, like ChatGPT can ever replicate. Right. So the third tool that I usually incorporate into my class is context, yeah, which is really powerful. Okay. Here, as I said, in the PowerPoint slide, I don't mean creating a super, crazy competitive environment that shames the loser. I do mean that to design or redesign the authentic challenges with a meaningful stake. Okay. So next slide, please, yeah, Gigi. So for my one of the master courses that I'm teaching here in Hong Kong Edu is Principles and Practices of Innovative Instructional Design. I noticed that some of the students, or maybe a majority of them, they do understand the theories, but they are still struggling to see how they could apply those theories into their real-life classroom settings. So I introduced some what called teach-back sections. So what I've done is something like getting the student, to read or to study about a teaching scenario, a real topic from school curriculum. So what they need to do is that they need to get themselves into teams, they need to get themselves into groups, yeah, and then they have 30 minutes to design a 10-minute micro teaching, micro lesson that applies instructional design principles that they have learned from me and also from the study. Okay, so they then teach in front of the class to the rest of their peers here who play the role of actual students. So what we have done was something like a role play in class. So after each lesson, we debrief on what kind of things that worked, what is not, yeah. If it's not, what kind of aspect that they could actually improve on, okay? So the context element here is subtle, but yet very powerful. The students are no longer competing for the grade, but they are competing for the respect for their peers. They are competing for satisfaction of seeing the ideas come to life, yeah, and also for the thrill of solving a challenging problem under a certain amount of pressure. So what I saw in my classroom is that the room busters, yeah, the ideas fly around, the air, okay, all the time, and the quality of work is really high, up to the standard of high standard. Okay. So in this case, I would say the third tool, context, yeah, in this case, really transform a task from a chore, okay, into an opportunity for the student to shine. So next slide, please. Yeah. So here's the evidence. I've also done a pre-test and protest to see, whether my students, in terms of their creative level, has been increased or not. And to my expectation, okay, my students' creative abilities, especially about their sensitivity and also fluency, they really rise dramatically after the completion of the course. So they gradually realize that they can be a creative teacher. And these really boost up their learning motivation and that confidence in their learning as well. So they become more enthusiastic about their own learning. They are also very eager to voice out their own opinions as well. So they now become, very creative and also very explicit to adopt different types of teaching strategies that they learned to stimulate their own students' passion in learning. So that is the power of using authentic and also engaging challenges. So now let's move back or return back to our basic question. How can we transform boring lessons into fun ones? So after going through the all three tools that I usually incorporate in my class, the answer obviously is not adding any more flashy technology, no AI technology, or to entertain our student like clowns. To me, the answer is to re-engineer the learning experiences by using tools that speak to our humanity. So after the 22 years of teaching, I could tell you that a bored student is not a lost cause. They perhaps are simply waiting for an invitation to play, an invitation to feel, or the invitation to compete. So our job as a teacher or as an educator is to design that invitation and place among the student. So as you will go through, the whole Orbis Hong Kong program, maybe in the next few months, yeah. And at a time, maybe perhaps in the future, when you step into your own classroom, I challenge you to be the engineers by using, first of all, gamification to give your student a reason to engage with the content. Second of all, to use drama to help them to embody and feel the ideas that they have generated, and also to use context to raise the stake and also honor that. So basically, to me, just use every single tool that you have to build the lesson that's safe. Okay, because once you are restoring the joy of learning, once you are restoring the insight of learning in the classroom, you are, as a teacher, no longer educating, but you are igniting the light, the fire that will really light up your student for the whole learning journey. Right, so that's basically it. I know the time is running out, so I think I just stop my sharing. Thank you, Gigi.
Thank you, Professor Ng, for the sharing. It was very inspiring, and I think we at Orbis Campus can definitely take something away. It's good to know that the best engineering tools are things that we already have inside, not like some flashy AI. Professor Ng won't be joining us at the panel discussion. I haven't received any questions yet, so I think it's been very clear. Professor Ng, please feel free to join us next time. Thank you so much for sharing today. Let's all say goodbye to Professor Teresa.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.